Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of On Point and West Point. My name is Reki, and this is my character. I am ashamed to say I don't remember her name, Emily Gavin. I haven't played her, and I usually allow them to randomly choose a character name for me. I think that's pretty fun, so this is Emily, and as you can see, we have made it to Twiggy's in West Point, and we have dropped the things that she was carrying that we don't currently need. I think I'll attach this hammer to her belt temporarily. Now, you know what? I'm going to unfavorite and I'm going to drop it for now because we don't need to go out and break stuff up right at the moment. Alright, what we do need is a better backpack, which sometimes can only be gathered by looting zombies. So, we're going to loot zombies as we go, but one of the things that I want us to do is to hit the grocery store first and foremost. Gigamart has a selection of various different things. If we get lucky, we might find a trolley or a cart to help us move large amounts of material. We'll definitely find sheets that we can put on the windows so that people do not see the lights coming from our windows. We will find a large selection of food and hopefully an axe or even a sledgehammer. I amazingly found those kinds of weapons and things here. Looks like a Gigamart employee. He's wearing a Gigamart waistcoat. And another thing that we can do is I like to look in the parking lots as we're going to keep an eye out for vehicles that could be potentially useful. Sometimes you can find, I have the big truck mod installed, and so I'm pretty fond of keeping an eye out for those. Alright, so let's see how busy Gigamart is. In this particular instance, it looks like, oh, nope, there's a couple right there. So we'll just head in. It looks like they're Gigamart employees. Let's see if we can get rid of these couple here. Hopefully there's not any others that are hidden. I almost didn't see these guys because they're in such light colored clothing, and the light colored flooring threw me off. I have been in here where there have been no zombies. I have been in here where there's been a dozen zombies, and it looks like this time we have at least 4. Alright. Which means, as much as I hate to do it, we're going to have to clear back here. Because, this area is tight. It's narrow, and is this light on? Okay, so that light was actually on. This, I think, leads out to where we just were. We'll just open that and get that out of the way. Nothing here, but we've got some small rooms. Bathrooms, apparently. Looks like they're empty, so that's good. And it looks like nobody lurking behind the counter. Alright, excellent. So, now that we're here, one of the first things I like to do is I like to grab the baked goods. Cake rots very quickly, so anytime you get near a location that has cake, you want to grab it. You don't want to let food go to waste. I try to grab the baked goods and bring the baked goods back. And I try to, if I can't grab the produce in these bins, I try to move the produce to a refrigerated section so that it lasts longer. These up here are refrigerated. These are not. None of these are refrigerated, of course. And while we're here, we are specifically looking for different types of equipment. So before we really go looting for food, we're gonna go through here and we're gonna have a look and see if we can find axes or trolleys or anything of that nature. And then once we determine whether or not those things are available, we will go back through and we will start grabbing specific items. Most of this stuff, since it won't go bad, can just be left on the shelves until we're at a point where we need it. Let's grab another radio. We'll check that for the emergency broadcast system. And you know what? We'll grab a coffee maker too, because we're going to need that in the coming days. There's lamps, so that's good. A large selection of lamps. And we'll grab anything fresh so that we don't have to worry about coming back through and finding it later. I can't remember if we had a wrench or not. Rakes, trowels, garden hose. I've had games where I have not found an axe or a sledgehammer anywhere, and then I've had games like my last one where I found 4 sledgehammers in West Point alone. And I was just absolutely astonished. I had never seen that before. There's a hand axe. That'll be useful. It's not as useful as a full axe, but it can get us started. Let's grab a TV dinner so we know we have something that we can eat potentially later on tonight. Assuming we can find her. Oh, we didn't have a saw. Let's grab a saw. Assuming we can find a microwave, we will have the opportunity to heat up stuff. What was he carrying? A pencil and a house key. And a ring. We'll take that. This one had a watch with no alarm on it, so we'll take that. And a house key as well. Alright. Canned goods, junk food, canned goods. Ah. Shovel, crowbar, pipe wrench. We definitely don't have a pipe wrench. There's the sledgehammer. That's what we wanted. And we have a shovel, so we'll just grab that. And now we're probably, well, we're not overloaded yet, which is good. And we definitely need a pair of scissors. Still no trolley, it doesn't look like. Alright, so let's put this stuff out in the taxi. I don't like to be overweight because it affects your ability to fight. So I prefer to carry stuff in the backpack and empty the backpack frequently. It's a pain in the butt, I will admit it. But it saves you having to worry about being unable to land a hit because you're too slow, or being unable to run away because you're so weighted down your character is exhausted. Alright, so now we have a coffee maker, and an interesting thing about a coffee maker is you can actually store 65 pounds worth of kettles in it. And those are good for holding water. So let's see, what have we got here? Candy will keep. Lights and lamps will keep. Let's grab another griddle pan. More saucepans. Let's put these in the correct bag so we don't overweight ourselves. We don't need another kitchen knife. I like to grab mugs because you can fill them with water while the water is still on. Bowls are useful for things like salads, and also teacups can be filled with water, which is why you're seeing me grab a lot of saucepans and teacups. I have had games where there has been water on for the, months, a month and a half, 2 months, and then I have had games where the water's been off day 2, and it's just almost impossible to do anything. Let's grab a lug wrench so we don't have to find one later. Rake, hand fork. We'll leave the farming stuff. We'll leave the toys alone. Let's loot some of this electronics so we can break it apart later, because we need electronics in order to hotwire cars. Mac and cheese is another good item to grab because you can literally eat that out of the box. It's what I call a grab and go food. Let's grab a container of coffee. And we're going to skip over the tools because we've got a pretty good selection of tools at the moment. We'll worry about picking up the rest of this dried food later. Let's grab a tea bag so we can make a cup of tea. We definitely need sheets, so I know I saw some, so I'm back looking for them again. And I know this was kind of like reinventing the wheel because I did it twice, but there's reasons why I go through it the first time. It's so that I can be sure that I get into the car the things that we absolutely need from the start. And then I go back through and fill back in with things that are equally important, which in this case are things for cooking. And you might wonder why I'm taking duplicates of cooking utensils, and I'm actually not taking duplicates of utensils, I'm taking duplicates of containers. And the reasons I do that is because all of the pots and saucepans can be filled with water, as I said, and so that's a really important consideration from the beginning. And I'm also grabbing things like cooking pans because you can actually create recipes and then freeze them in the pans, and that extends their shelf life. So I'm all about getting the most food as possible, getting as much food as possible in the beginning and getting the most out of that food as you can, because once the fresh food is gone, the fresh food is gone. And obviously I'm one person, so the likelihood of this character being able to eat all of the fresh food that I can get from West Point before it goes bad, even if we freeze it all, is unlikely. But it's something that I strive for simply because it's better to try and fail at it and have to throw out rotten food than have it rot on the shelves and never have the opportunity to do it. And if you want to know why I pick up house keys, it's because you never know when you're going to need them. All right, so we're going to go back into this back room really quick where all these shelves were. And we're going to have a look in these shelves to see if we can find anything that isn't out that we might find useful. Most of the time, it's going to be canned goods, but occasionally you get lucky and you get sacks of fresh food, so we'll grab them. The sacks actually take up less weight allowance, so keeping stuff in the sacks is useful. As you can see, we're not even up to 19 pounds and we're carrying like 5 sacks of food. And we're getting a nice variety of fruits and vegetables, so we'll get all these first. And each sack is about 2 pounds and can carry numerous fresh food. So here's a sack of onions, we'll grab that. I'm still kind of hoping we will find a trolley to make my life easier. Alright, so we've got about 6 sacks of fresh food back here and another whole section of shelves we're going to check. And it's already 1:10 in the afternoon. We're still on day 1. I'm breaking this series up into small segments. I originally planned to do it in a day-by-day fashion. I happen to like recording day by day, but because I've got the days set to 3 hours in length, that means that we wind up taking an awful lot of time, and the videos wind up being 45 minutes to an hour a piece, which I find that's, even for me, I like to watch videos that's a little too long for me. So, alright, so we've got some seats to fill up, and what we're going to do is we're going to check these shelves, and we're going to grab the last bags of produce, and then we're going to fill in with any of the loose produce. Oh, and don't do that. If you run into something, you can actually knock yourself out. I didn't do any damage to her, so that's a relief. She's thirsty, so I'm going to stop in here and drink out of the sink while the water's still on. Alright, so we have a sack of leeks. We'll take that. Then we have some sacks of cabbages and radishes. And a sack of tomatoes. Onions and more radishes. Peaches, pineapples. Here's another sack of onions. It's really unfortunate that we couldn't find the equipment that I was hoping to find here, but that's okay. We came out of here with a lot of good food, and we're just going to grab the remainder of these sacks of food that we left behind here. Hopefully not weigh ourselves down too much. And then what we will do is we'll head back to the house and we will unload, and we will come out looking for probably another refrigerator, a microwave, maybe a bed, and we're still looking for axes, and we are still looking for a trolley. A trolley would make this endeavor a lot easier, because now, as you can see, I'm overweight. I really don't like to be overweight, but we're going to just hop straight into this car. I always like to keep my front seat open so that I can hop in and out on either side and just move around. Unfortunately, my door was locked, so I couldn't get in. So I will load stuff into the other seats, the rear, left, and right seats, like I did here, but I won't put stuff in the front seat typically, because when you do that, when you keep the seat free, it gives you some flexibility. If you're running away from a zombie, you can get in on either side and just hop into the seat that you need to be in. You can hop in and out of the car and put the car between you and the zombie. So there's a bit of strategy involved that can be useful. And here we are. We are back at Twiggy. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to end this episode here. I'm going to do a little bit of hinking around with exchanging these vehicles, putting this one kind of over here out of the way so this is easily unloaded. I'll probably get rid of these zombies in the front and get all this stuff moved inside, and then I will see you for the next episode, where we are going to head out and we are looking for a microwave, a refrigerator, a bed, the axe, and potentially a trolley. And if we can get those first 5 things in our first day, we are set up really well to go into day 2. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.